This episode was brought to you in part by the YouTube playlist of Beast Wars 2nd and with the express sponsorship of viewers like you.
Too much energy.
Too much energon, like this podcast.
Cheetor, what in the ever-loving fuck have you done?
If I wanted to fly, I would have become a bat, not a rat.
It seems my head is purple fire now.
Intelligent conversation.
The louder you yell, the more damage your bullets do.
Ah! Yes. Ah, yes. Yes.
Well,
It's gonna blow.
I've decided that I want to live.
No. Not that. Ah!
Welcome to episode 143 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where two dudes talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. Well, wouldn't you know it? Oh, and my cat's here to talk shit about Beast Wars too. I'm one of your hosts, Neo Cow.
And I'm the other guy, Christopher Siege.
And here we are, born to be watching Beast Wars 2nd. However, not all. I think they're kind of good today. They're kind of good.
You think so, huh?
But you were wrong. It was me.
We're just gonna have to put that to the test because this week on Too Much Energon, we are talking about episodes 25, 26, 27, and 28 of Beast Wars 2nd. They are, in order, The Final Battle, Enter Lio Jr., Megastorm Reborn, and the new weapon, Taco Tank.
I wonder what that last one could be about.
Perhaps a new weapon, known as a Taco Tank.
Takoyaki.
Takoyaki. Something
That's
I'm
food,
not.
right?
It is, yeah. Something I am not fond of.
I've had some bad. Yeah, me. I've had. There's a big difference between like meh sushi and like meh like Japanese food and like really good Japanese food, and had some bad in my days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had takoyaki from Japanese restaurants that are otherwise normally good. So I think I just don't like. I don't like
Probably
takoyaki.
not. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But yeah,
Not everyone's cup of green tea, if you will.
that's right, because they drink green tea.
Yeah.
Japan.
And it's most Japanese restaurants will give you green tea complimentary.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
I'm not
One of my favorite.
not much of a coffee person, but I have noticed in recent years that I do really like tea.
Yeah. Yeah, I drink a lot of tea lately too, but I also drink a lot of coffee. So
Coffee.
what coffee?
Coffee.
What do we got? Like right away, we're met with episode 25, right?
Met with episode 25, the final battle. So
I don't believe you.
I know, like I said on the last episode, don't tease me with a good time, Beast Wars 2nd. Don't make promises.
And you know what?
You can't keep.
They kept the promise. Not in the title of it, but with a good time, because I actually thought that things actually went somewhere.
They did.
To quote you when we were talking earlier.
And before I get into that, though, I just want to plug the official Too Much Energon t-shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I should have went and got mine.
It, as one of the members of our Discord pointed out, the bullshit haircut of Christopher Siege forever immortalized
Forever immortalized in the t-shirt.
in the t-shirt. So yeah, this is the last version of the show art.
There's no way my hair was that short when we started.
No,
Maybe.
I think you just had it tied back a lot.
Yeah, kind of like a faux greaser pompadour. Oh, I should do this.
Well, there you go.
Like Bride of Frankenstein.
So, folks, if you want to get one of these shirts, go to the T Public store. There is a link in the description of this episode. Just wanted to plug that because, well, I put some new designs up there. There, there's this one. There's the current show art with the hilarious stock image of the dude crossing his arms with the Photoshop,
Oh,
with
I should
the
have put that one on.
with the Megatron head
My
Photoshop.
favorite shirt.
I also made a shirt that says that quotes you, Cal. The louder you yell, the more damage your bullets do.
That's it. You know what? I wouldn't have remembered that, but after you made that shirt, I was like, that sounds like something I would say.
Well, it's in the intro for this show. It's one of the quotes.
Oh, it is. I definitely watch our own show. Trust me. Every episode of it.
There's also, if you're watching the video version, also the logo behind me. You can get that as a shirt.
Yeah, I like it.
And I made a shirt of my now infamous line. What am I, a fucking magician, man? What am I, a fucking magician, man? Am I a fucking magician?
I like the laser comb logo on the Blockbuster ticket.
Yes, actually, I'm going to
It
make this the
feels
logo.
fitting.
I'm going to make this the logo for the show art for the Lasercomb podcast.
Come at us, Blockbuster. I dare you.
Well, if you look right there, see, registered trademark. It's this logo is now a registered trademark of
That's it.
Lasercomb Productions.
Once you put the R there, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna make this the show art for the Lasercomb podcast. I'm gonna change that pretty soon.
Sweet. And I like my brain's melting. The edit for Airwolf that I got as my background right here.
Yes, it's pretty sick. Big shout out to Vampiro.
Yeah, who just took our film grained our screenshots from that episode and put it on the background there. Let me move a little.
Yeah. That was a fun episode to record, despite the show itself being boring as sin.
Yeah. But if you have no idea what we're talking about, let me tell you, we have another podcast called just the Lasercomb podcast. And that's fun. We never revisit the same thing. So the opposite of Too Much Energon. It's a random episode from TV shows of bygone eras, and every single episode we review random episode of mostly random episode of something different every single time.
Yep. Yeah, and like you said, we never revisit a show.
No, it's against the rules.
It's against the rules. There aren't many rules of that show, but one of the rules is once we review a show, that's it. We never cover it again.
It's dead to us.
It has to be a show that's completed, so we can roll the completed episode count. That's my logic behind it.
Yeah. And the whole point is supposed to be watching reruns.
Yeah.
Something. So it's
yeah.
Is Gotham done?
Yeah, Gotham ended years ago.
Yeah.
I think it ended probably about 5 years ago now.
I only watched two seasons. Didn't it keep going and going and
yeah, it lasted 5 seasons.
Holy moly. I liked it for wait, you were talking about that in the on the Discord, which you should join.
Yes. Link to that in the description of this episode as well.
What did you call it?
I've long referred to Gotham as great junk food TV.
Junk food TV. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the first couple seasons.
It's like it may be empty calories, but damn, it tastes good.
You might not be able to remember it, but it was easy watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun show.
Very loopy plot. Like it very contradictory of itself and wild the places they went with that.
In the final episode, they age up Bruce Wayne to Batman age.
Oh, really?
But it's really bad because like the kid who played him was still only a teenager at that point, and so what you have is you have a
I'm
full
Batman.
you
And
have
then
a
he does
full
like
you have
Fortnite
a
dance.
full grown man in a Batman suit with that kid's face like very poorly CGI'd
That actually
onto his
sounds
head.
amazing. I should look up just that scene. Oh, is it as bad as I imagine it is?
Probably, yeah.
But to on to something that yeah, I think that's our spiel for the rest of our stuff. On to episode 25 of Beast Wars Second, which is better than I was expecting.
So the Seacons, the old Maritimers in this
Yeah.
episode, they're tired of always losing to the Maximals, so they decide, you know what? We're gonna leave. Fuck
If you
Gaia.
can't beat them, leave the planet.
Fuck Gaia, we're out of here. But the problem is they don't have enough fuel to actually break orbit. Once they get into space, their solar sails can be powered by the sun, and so they can
It's just
sail the
science.
stars. But they need enough fuel in order to be able to rocket out of Gaia's atmosphere. And so you
Seems
know
legit.
what?
It's just science.
It does seem legit. And you know what? For the first time ever in this show, like this actually feels like a reasonable predicament that the characters are in.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing.
And it moves the plot. Like they're gone after this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, perhaps we may see them again because at the end of the episode they accidentally fly into a black hole or a warp tunnel, a wormhole. I don't know, but
Something or other.
they accidentally fly into some sort of vortex in space. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Their idea is what is it? The femme fatale.
So the female the female gremlin from Gremlins, the she gremlin from Gremlins 2.
Gremlina, I believe her name is.
Goes and meets with Scuba to tell him that they plan on leaving, and she's like, "Oh, but we're never going to be able to. I'm so sad about this, but we're probably never going to be able to because we don't have enough fuel to get out of Gaia's atmosphere." And so Scuba goes back to Lyle Convoy, and he's like, "Hey, so
Dude, you got to do me a solid and get this bitch out of here."
yeah, pretty much."
And the idea is and it's like, oh, so we could be together as he like inches his way away from her. He's like, homie, you got to help me out. You know, I can't say, just, you got to get him out of there. And there's a conversation between the Seacons where they're like, I'm going to stay behind. And they're like, bitch, we can't turn into God Neptune without you.
yeah.
It's all or nothing. You ain't leaving just because you got a crush on some squid dude.
We're not going to break up. We're not going to break up the band that's been together all these years just because you have a crush on some stupid boy.
He doesn't even like you, God. And he's like, well, you know what? And by he, I mean Lyle Convoy. He's like, you know what? Let me talk to them. Let me mano y mano.
And Lyle Convoy is like, you know what? We're kind of sick of you, so we're going to give you all the fuel you need to leave. You just got to promise never to come back. And then something really stupid happens.
He had already you're right, the whole premise. I think the episode is decent, but the premise, if Siege will always point something out to me in every episode that I think is good, and I'm like, right, that is fucking stupid. And they could just go,
They could just go.
but their captain, the big
Shellhead or something.
half shell, haha.
Heroes in a half shell.
So
Neptune
hero in
power.
a half shell is like, cowabunga, dude. I can't accept charity. We're the old Maritimers. But tell you what, how about one-on-one?
Me and you fight.
You and I fight. If I win, you give us the fuel, and if you win, you what do you want? And then he's like, and he like nudges Gremlina,
Uh,
and he's like, how about if I win, we still give you the fuel, but you bring yourself to prison, bitch.
you turn yourselves in at the first maximal spaceport you find, and they're all
And the
like,
rest of the
gasp.
maritime, yeah, the rest of the Seacons are like, bro, say no, say that's fucking stupid. And he's like, what? You don't think you're the captain can win? And I'm like, oh.
So
And
this
he's
is
like, you know
I,
what? Deal.
So this is what I mean. Like the whole entire like plot of this episode is
Yeah.
predicated on utter stupidity. It's
There are
like
good episodes if you like ignore why the premise. If you ignore the premise of the plot, episodes can be good. Beast Wars second.
yeah, it's like they could have just taken the fuel and left.
Without any repercussions.
Yeah.
And if he wins, the repercussions would be the same as if they just accepted the offer. But his pride, there's a lot of Transformers with really big egos in Beast Wars second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lio Convoy is like, so they shake on it and they're like, "You're on. We're gonna extend the code of honor and then ring the bell."
Yeah, and then they leave and they're like, "Hey, dude, this sounds like a trap."
It was a Ring of Honor reference, people.
Oh. This sounds like a trap, and he's like, I'm got to do it anyway. Gets them out of our hair. And besides, sailing the stars is like more their thing.
Yeah.
Like they need to get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Here they're kind of a pain in the ass, but like sailing the stars, like that's more their jam. Like they're probably better off doing that.
Now, when they show up for the duel after the montage of each of them training, well, wouldn't you know it, God Neptune shows up, which is all the Seacons, the combiner.
Yeah.
That shows up, and
Lio Convoy's like, "Hey, hold on, this was supposed to be one-on-one," and he's like, God Neptune's like, "Well, technically it is. There's one of me and one of you."
I've got some tech actually here because it pisses me off. Now, I don't know if it's like just translation errors or I'm being like nitpicky, but he said, I said like one body.
One body, yeah.
I this is one body. I didn't say whose. And I'm like, no, you said one-on-one.
Yeah.
You didn't say this is still one body. And I'm like, okay, sure.
It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I'm like, well, yeah, he's getting him on a technicality, and that's kind of amusing.
Got him.
And so a big fight happens. That's the episode. Big fight happens. Lio
Big
Convoy
fight
wins.
happens. Lio Convoy wins. I don't remember how. I don't know, cunning and stuff. Maybe the Decepticons fuck something up or get no.
Oh yeah,
anyways,
the Decepticons interfere in this. Like they end up fighting the rest of the Maximals, and I feel like that was just done to give the other characters something to do in the episode.
Yeah, He-Man crushes after Gremlina a bit. And then well, after all of it, my word's my word, and here's your fuel, and off you go. And I think it's funny that Gremlina is like using her tentacle to like wave a handkerchief at like when you wave a handkerchief to say goodbye to like your sailor sweetheart, like going off or whatever. But Scuba isn't like responding. It's Bighorn.
We're sailing away. We'll see you when we on this ship, the Titanic, land in New York.
I'll send you a
I'll write
telegraph.
you. I'll write you every day.
I'll write you every day once I arrive in New York. And then Bighorn's like, he's like, oh, lovely, beautiful squid. Oh, our love was never meant to be. And then they fly into a black hole.
And then he lets out a very like somber he.
Our love was never meant to be. To he or not to he. That is the
he. Oh, that's going to be a future soundbite down the road.
Probably. And
I do plan to make one more. We're kind of in the fine like the tail end of this podcast shelf life.
Fit one more.
But I do plan to make one more like custom intro, probably after we're done Beast Wars 2nd.
Yeah. Yeah, they fly into a black hole, I guess.
Yeah. So, like the Titanic, they basically crash into an iceberg.
No, the rich people survive, right? Well, not in this case. There's only like what? There's 4 of them, right? 5?
The
4?
rich people and Kate Winslet survive.
Yeah.
I guess she was rich.
Yeah, she was rich.
Yeah, it was the poor that she was dating that died.
Oh God. I mean, you're not wrong. The poor.
The poor.
Why, there's only enough lifeboats for us rich women folk. Quick, use your boyish looks to pretend that you're a child. Walk on your knees. Please, sir, can I get on?
I just need to get off first.
Oh, well, at least they did it.
And he drew her like one of his French girls, and 12 something awoke that day in 12-year-old Siege.
Something awoke that had to do with rich cheating whores. With that type, perhaps.
With red hair.
It's all coming together now.
With red hair and slightly thick. Barely. I remember at the time, though, like, she was being, like, body shamed for being fat in that scene, and it's like, she's not fat. Not even close.
Right?
The 90s were a weird time.
Yeah.
Speaking of the 90s, that episode, something unprecedented is about to happen.
Uh-oh.
Because I'm going to give, and this is still grading on a curve, but I'm going to give episode 25, The Final Battle, a Too Much Energon rating.
I'm giving that one a Too Much Energon.
I didn't think it would happen, but here we are.
I'm giving that one a Too Much Energon because like things are happening. It's not just, it is just a fight, but it's like the parameters are different rather than just like, oh no, falling into a Decepticon trap. It's, I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Interesting duel.
Episode 26. Enter Lio Jr.
Oh shit.
And we get to see the new looming threat of the show, it seems, which is the Eye of Sauron. We later find out it's a moving,
giant
moving artificial planet that looks like a giant eyeball.
The Eye of Sauron. And when you look into the crystal ball, sometimes something looks back.
Yeah.
I see you.
I've seen things that you would never believe.
You Transformers wouldn't believe.
That reminds me, actually, and I'm just going to mention this on air, but I had an idea for another podcast that I want to run by you.
Ah, shit. Okay.
It's a show, probably something with like a limited like number of episodes, like a dozen or something like that, but a show where we review movies that came out on the same day. Like noteworthy films, because like the John Carpenter's The Thing and Blade Runner were both released on the same day in 1982. Ghostbusters and Gremlins were released on the same day in
I
1984.
always forget that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a bunch more that I found when Googling, Oppenheimer and Barbie, the most recent noteworthy example.
Was it the same day? I knew that
I'm pretty sure
they
it
came
was.
out
Yeah.
and they overlapped, but that makes sense. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was. Yeah. But yeah, it was an idea for a podcast I had the other day.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Oh well. We'll ruminate. We'll stew on that one.
We'll marinade.
We'll marinate. What do we got here? Episode
Moonlight
26.
Serenade.
God.
Yeah, it's episode 26, episode Lio Jr. Yeah, we're
They
introduced.
really hype up his intro, huh?
We're like I said, we're introduced to the Eye of Sauron, which we find out very quickly is causing all of the angle slam energy on the planet to go unstable and like burst out of the ground. And we find out pretty quickly that this artificial planet, was built and summoned by Galvatron in order to quickly extract the angle slam energy from the planet, which has me wondering why he didn't just do that to begin with, like 25
I was so
episodes
confused
ago.
about that. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. This weird giant artificial planet that has a giant eye in the front. It's coming to eat the angle slam energy from Gaia, right?
Yeah.
It is also called Nemesis,
Yes.
not to be confused with the ship.
Yeah.
And Galvatron made this at some point in the past.
Yeah. So I'm wondering why we didn't just bring this thing to planet Gaia in the first episode.
Because the writers hadn't even thought of it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And as it gets closer, they're like, oh, geez, it's approaching the 9th planet. And I'm like, well, Gaia can't be Earth because there is no 9th planet. Mm-hmm.
I think canonically Gaia is supposed to be Earth in the far off future.
Yeah. Well, we ain't missing Pluto. It's not a planet anymore. It's a planetesimal or a planetoid or whatever it is. Good
Or
riddance, I say.
It's a fake news planet.
That's right. But yeah, as the episodes go on, they're like, oh geez, it's nearing the 8th planet. Oh geez, it's like they're kind of getting closer and closer. And I'm like, I don't know if you understand the distances. It's not like in school where all the planets like lined up
Yeah.
and the sizes were barely comparable. It's like, oh, Jupiter's this big and the Earth is this big. No, like if the Jupiter is like infinitely, like, well, not literally infinitely, but like
You see,
many
they're all
hundreds times.
all the planets are lined up perfectly like they are
Perfectly,
on
yeah.
a star map in school.
Yeah.
And then Unicron comes over with a big pool cue and sinks the 8-ball right into the sun.
Sinks Mercury into the sun, and all the planets just move forward a little bit closer. That's what's happening here. And what's even greater is it shows the planets in the background as if they're eating the planet or it's flying by them.
Yeah.
The course, I assume that they're using gravitational slingshot to go in and like gain speed, because there's almost no such thing as like a straight line where you could just fly past every single planet. Whatever, it's a kid's show. Anyways, yeah, the Eye of Sauron is coming, and dang it, you better hide your hobbits.
It's fucking up the planet. It actually it reminds me of like the end of season 1 of the real Beast Wars show. How,
Yeah,
like,
so
the Planet Buster was like fucking up the planet and things were like slowly like getting worse and worse and worse. That's what this kind of reminds me of.
as Sauron is coming closer to Gaia, it is making the angle slam energy evil, correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
It is making it evil. Yes. But
it was neutral before, but now it's evil.
But in the process, it ends up the planet ends up spawning. It gives birth. the planet gives birth to a lion cub, who we will find out is named Lio, who takes the name Lio Jr. because Tasmania Kid and Diver are joking around about how he looks just like Lio Convoy. He
I
must
mean,
be
I don't
his son.
think he does, but sure.
No, he doesn't. I was like, maybe to like a
Oh, they even
5-year-old.
confuse him.
Yeah.
They're like, huh, Lio Convoy, why are you acting strange? And like he tackles them. It's this big thing where like he refuses to talk until he sees someone transform. And he's like, oh, you're Transformers like me.
Yeah, and then suddenly Lio Convoy finds out about this and like clutches his chest. He's like, like he's having a heart attack.
I knew that bitch wasn't on the pill.
And hilariously enough, when I was watching this earlier, I sent a message to Cal. I'm like, Lio Convoy is having a heart attack over all the back child support he's going to have to pay. And then a few minutes later in the episode, Artemis and
Moon and Artemis, yeah,
are talking about like why Lio Convoy won't accept Lio Jr. as his son, and they actually mentioned that it comes with increased responsibility, like child support payments.
I saw that.
And
I was like, wow.
I was like, holy shit, I was just making a joke. And
So
they actually go there.
they actually go there, which I enjoyed, but
And Lio Convoy ends up being a complete deadbeat dad, which I found hysterical.
pissed me off. He's basically like, stop calling me dad, loser. Get away from me. You don't look anything like me. What? I don't know who that is. We only dated for like a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't prove it.
Can't prove it without a DNA test. Well, Dad, how about we get a DNA test? No, I don't need one.
I just know.
If it sounds like I'm speaking from personal experience, I may have had a conversation like that with my own
I was pissed
father.
off at this Lio Convoy. But as the episode goes on, what he's trying to do, because he's like, oh, Dad, help me. Oh, but I am an adult. I'm strong. Oh, no, help. I'm falling. There's a stupid plot point where he's like, oh, geez, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to lie down and have a nap right next to this lava pit. Oh, yeah, the subplot of this episode.
Doesn't that that happens in the next episode, doesn't it?
You're right. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Eventually we learned that he doesn't want to like establish like a father-son relationship with this Lio Jr. Because like he wants him to like, it to be treat him more like, like a soldier, like an equal, call him commander like everyone else does. Right? Like instead of like babying him or something like that.
You will call me commander.
You will call me Mr. Daddy. Yeah, they go through a thing. He's like, oh, so I'll call you father? Daddy? Papa? Whatever, you're not my real dad. Fuck you. And he like runs off at some point.
Lio Daddy.
Lio Daddy.
I've been looking through our other podcast that we talked about earlier, the Lasercomb podcast. I've been looking for sound bites to make a new intro for that show. And yeah, one of the ones that I singled out was me saying when we were reviewing Fighting Foodons in an early episode of that show, I singled out a clip where I say "Shrimp Daddy."
It's a good sound bite. There's like a meme that you hate anime on that show, but most of the anime we've watched you've liked. 50% maybe.
Yeah, I liked Fighting Foodons.
Yeah,
I liked Food Wars. I liked Kino's Journey. I liked
Kino's
Samurai.
Journey, yeah.
I like Samurai Champloo.
Oh, you did. Oh, and you also like Space Dandy.
I like Space Dandy well enough. You definitely like it more than I do.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go check out the Lasercomb podcast if you want to watch us review random anime that we've never seen.
or episodes of the A Team
Oh,
that
that was fun.
that may potentially have Hulkamania himself guest starring, brother.
That's right.
That was fun, yeah.
Geez. What goes on? What's the conflict in Lio Jr. makes his appearance?
Galvatron detects
Oh shit,
that.
that's right.
Yeah,
He gobbles.
Galvatron detects like the energy, the light, the angle slam life energy of Lio Jr.
Right.
And so he decides to
He's like, I knew I should have aborted this.
he
I have
decides
to
to
get rid of him.
he decides to slam some angle slam energy and get roided up and go dragon mode. But now, I think in narration it
There's
mentions
something about the birth of Lio Jr. that he needs to stop because it's almost like prophetic
yeah.
or something, right?
Yeah, and it mentions in narration that I believe that Galvatron has entered the dragon enough now that he can actually like control himself.
Yeah, I got that because he actually gives them orders when he's in that form.
Yeah, he's not
So
just
he gives the Decepticons orders. Yeah.
he's not just mindless dragon man anymore.
Mm. Now he has truly entered the dragon.
Yeah. He has entered the dragon and he is about to deliver the fist of fury.
And he storms towards them.
Bend over, Lyle Convoy.
He comes to them in the volcanic area that they're all hanging out, and he's like, "Well, time to put an end to you before you become a nuisance, the chosen one. Before you fuck everything up, kid." And
And
well, when you know it, our favorite uncles make an appearance.
yeah, there's a ship coming into orbit, and Starscream and BB notice it and start following it. And hilariously enough, leaning into now, like Starscream's like newfound fabulousness, he actually comments that the ship is it's in such poor taste.
Yeah, we were joking about that like before, but now
Now it's just becoming like canon with the show.
and they're like, okay, well, let's go investigate that, I guess, instead of backing up Megastorm, Megzy.
And so when the ship lands, it has our favorite uncles, Santon and Skywarp, an elephant and a hawk, I think,
An
or
eagle?
an eagle. Yeah.
Yeah. Designs are actually really good too.
Yeah, yeah. Magnaboss. I've never owned it, but when I was younger, I knew someone who had a Magnaboss toy, so
Oh shit.
I had played with it before. It's a really cool toy. I'd actually like to get my
Excuse
hands
me.
on one, but it's so expensive nowadays. Like
Oh, I can imagine.
there was one at Cherry Bomb, I think, for like $300.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And unless I can't justify spending that much on a Transformer unless it's like a masterpiece figure.
Hmm. I can't even justify spending that much total on Transformers.
I have thousands of dollars worth of them in my living room right now.
Oh shit. Um, but what we end up finding out is why are they here? They are here looking for, it's very chosen one-ish.
It is, yeah.
Basically, those two, the eagle and the elephant, Santana and and
Santana and Ortiz.
Laserbeak. They can transform, but they're looking for like a third. And they
Yeah.
detect that energy on Gaia?
Yeah, they happened to be in the area and they detected the massive like surge of like positive angle slam energy in amongst all this negative angle
Yeah.
slam energy.
And
or
when they
evil.
scan it, it like their computer shows that it like would match their configuration.
Yeah. And so somehow they're able to just we need to do a like forced like, merge.
Yeah, like a forced fusion. And
I'm
so
like-
they force Lio Jr. He like crackles with green energy,
Yeah.
and is like sucked into the transformation sequence. Because he doesn't know how to do it, so I guess they force him to. and they become Magna Boss,
Yeah, which I'm like,
who looks pretty cool.
yeah, Magnaboss looks cool. Yeah. He, which I find weird that they can just be like, okay, we're just going to be combiners now. Which it's like, if that's the case, why don't all of them do that?
I, maybe it's kind of like they lost their third person who could combine with them, and
Yeah,
like this is one of the reincarnations, or they need to have a certain body type or energy type. Like
could
it's like
be.
blood type, like you can't get a organ donor from someone with a different like blood type than you, or you know
Oh,
what I mean, like maybe
right. Yeah, maybe there's something about him specifically that made him compatible and like one in like a
yeah,
million chance.
because they seem to know that they need a third to combine. So I feel
So,
like combiners are made that way or are born that way, and everyone else isn't. Because, like you said, otherwise, then you could just be like, oh, well, what if we try?
yeah.
I don't know. The three amigos like fucked theirs up like 6 times.
Something I'm wondering about this show, and this actually plays into a couple of episodes here,
Oh,
not just these two.
okay, okay.
At the beginning of the show, we see the Maximals like land on planet Gaia, and they take beast modes because specifically because they're there. We have since seen many characters just randomly show up in spaceships already having beast modes.
Don't worry, don't worry. Just don't think about why they're already shaped like animals from planet Gaia when they've never been there before.
Yeah.
Don't. It's another one of those things you gotta hand wave. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of animal I am, but well, there's planet Gaia. Let's go say hi. Oh, what? I didn't even notice that I was an animal from this planet. Cool.
Wow, what a wild coincidence that there just happens to be elephants and eagles on this planet.
They're nowhere else, but it's pretty cool.
That was a pretty awesome luck of the draw, huh? It goes back to like a thing
The
we mentioned.
Cheetor.
The thing we mentioned about like the original Beast Wars show, where it's like, wow, it's a good thing the guy named Rhinox just happened to become a rhino. uh,
The good thing, he had the guy named Rhinox happened to scan an animal named a rhino.
yeah, and the guy who named Cheetor didn't end up becoming like a mouse.
And Rat Trap was like an eagle.
Yeah.
And Optimus Primal comes out and he's like, call me Jeremy. No, Jeremy is the failed combiner. Jeremy.
You knew where I was going with that.
Fucking Jeremy, man. All headcanon. I should go tell if you want to. We should go and tell. What was that chick's name?
Human Girl 2122.
We should go tell Human Girl that actually all headcanon is canon, if you believe. And so your OC combiner named Jeremy, that's in the Beast Wars world, baby.
Yeah. If you're wondering what we're talking about, you should go to patreon.com/lasercomb and subscribe. At $5, you get access to the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show, a Patreon exclusive podcast where we go into detail about some amusing interactions I had on YouTube earlier with someone.
If you're watching this, you're one of the elite special people.
Yes.
That like specifically Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's a small but dedicated group of magicians out there. They're really like animals that turn into robots. Much more so than Siege and I. much more passionately.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's a pretty
Silverbolt
low
in Beast
bar.
Machines is a vulture. He just is.
Yeah.
You'll have to fight me on that one. Um, or was he a pigeon?
He's
Or was he a
definitely
turkey?
he's definitely not a turkey or
Hummingbird?
listen,
Phoenix.
listen, all I'm saying is that
There's a werewolf in that show.
Three Nights of the Condor is a really good 1975 spy thriller.
Yeah.
think
That's
what it's
when
called.
the name Condor was invented.
That's what it comes from.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. Perhaps you should learn a little astrology and educate yourself.
Three
Nights
of the Condor.
3 Nights of the Condor. Perhaps you should read into astrology and educate yourself.
I should read into astrology and other physical sciences.
Yeah, along with astrology.
But yeah, if you want context for all of what we've just been talking about, go to patreon.com/lasercomb.
All right.
I think after this, I'm actually might watch 3 Days of the Condor.
Just cuz.
Yeah, I haven't seen
it. And then
go
back into the comments and be like, hey, thanks. I just went and watched.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was in university, so it's been almost probably like 20 years now.
I've never seen it. Never even heard of it. But now I know where the word condor comes from.
Yeah.
So how do they end up defeating supercharged evil angle slam Galvatron? Well, wouldn't you know, Magnaboss has a sword.
Well, we already know that pulling his tail is the way to defeat him, so let's just do that again.
Or all the Maximals can hide behind rocks and watch as Magnaboss can barely control themselves because it's 3 people, but they're not in sync, and it implies that it's a little clumsier because Lio Jr. is so young.
Yeah.
But Lio Convoy like steps in and is like dodging hits and shooting stuff, and he's like, now stab him in the chest,
stab him in the heart, and watch all the angle slam energy leak out.
And indeed, turns out all he had to do was stab him. Reminds me of that fucking Jim Carrey gif I love using. I think it's from like Cable Guy or something like that.
It is from the Cable
Ace
Guy,
Ventura. Yeah. No, Cable Guy, yeah. Where he's like
yeah.
So they stab him in the chest.
Of course. It's kind of the vibe from that gif.
Very sarcastically. They stab him in the chest, and wouldn't you know it, stabbing another Transformer right through their fucking matrix is pretty bad. And he's like, no, my one weakness, but also grabbing my tail and burying me, throwing me in lava. One of my many weaknesses, stabbing me in the chest. And he's like, I'll get you. And as he's flying away, looking decrepit, leaking like hundreds of gallons of angle slam, Magnaboss turns to like shoot him out of the sky, which I think is cool. I was like, hell yeah, fuck that guy, shoot him. But then Lio Convoy being like, no, he's fucked. It's gonna be a while before he can like bother us. And I'm like, you know, a good way. I mean, I say this all the time about the Maximals, but you know, a good way for him to never bother you again is actually just let him take the shot. But Galvatron and soon to be Giga Storm
so Lio Convoy is like says to Galvatron, run from this land and never return.
What is that from?
The Lion King.
Oh fuck. I was like, oh, so close. But that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's what Simba says to Scar at the end of the movie. Because he was going
that's
to
right.
He was going to let, because that's what Scar. I think that's what Scar said to Simba after he killed Mufasa. He told him to run from this land and never return.
It's been so long since, but good memory though. Yeah. And then he says it, but like any good villain, he's like, haha, psych. And then he dies. The villain must die from their own hubris.
I've never seen that Lion King remake.
And I never will.
I'd probably not, no.
Never will. I never will.
It's just one, it's they call it a live action movie. It's not.
How can it be? They're
It's
not
all
using
CGI.
actual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all CGI.
They're not. So it did something hit or miss with I can't remember the director's name, but they did something that I think is really stupid.
John
In the Lion,
Favreau.
and yes, in the Jungle Book remake, it was CG but meant to look realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but the characters still had very animated faces, right? Like the cartoons, like cartoonishly but kind of realistic, so somewhere in between. They decided to go with hyper realistic expressions of the animals in The Lion King. But here's the thing: we're mammals. We're primates. Humans relate to cartoons like The Lion King and each other and live action movies with expressions. And when you have a bunch of expressionless animals with tiny like little eyes that you can't like really see, it doesn't land.
Yeah,
Like I've seen clips
that's a
of
criticism that I've heard about The Lion King as well.
I've seen clips of it, and I've watched a little chunk of it.
And we do because we are primates. We do tend to respond to facial expressions of
Even cartoon ones
of other primates, like gorillas and chimps.
And to get around that, and to get around this, when it's other animals, you make them human-like, or you exaggerate them, like in all fucking Disney cartoons.
Yeah,
that's why The Lion King and every other cartoon with animals hits. And when you take that away, you just hit uncanny valley where like you're looking at animals not emoting, voiced over by like humans, and it doesn't. Then why are you watching? Why are you watching it? I would rather watch like National Geographic, watching actual animals do real animal things, than watch CG animals meant to look realistic, not emote like humans, singing.
Yeah, I've heard the animals in The Lion King. I think one review described them as lifeless looking.
Yeah. Like what you need the exaggerated. So a good example of how to do that is Jungle Book. The worst example is Lion King. There's my rant about the remakes. I haven't seen any of the remakes though. Maybe some of them are good. I don't know. I don't care. Wasn't Hermione in like the Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, that I saw that movie in theaters and really didn't like it. It's actually how I started listening to Bibbs and Whitney, was because I discovered a long time ago they had their shows as part of a podcast network feed that had like a bunch of different shows by a bunch of different creators.
Right.
And I was subscribed to that feed because of one show in particular that I liked. But I saw Bibbs and Whitney did I think it was like a worst movie, top 10 worst movies of 2017. And in the list was the Beauty and the Beast movie. Now, I saw it in theaters and really disliked it, and was surrounded by people, or not just like around me, like people that I went and saw the movie with, but also people on social media just gushing about how it was amazing and the best movie of the year. And I'm like, what?
That can't be real.
It was real. Then again, though, I got into an argument. Well, not really an argument, but like
paid actors.
But one person on Facebook who was gushing about the Beauty and the Beast remake also said Logan was one of the worst movies she'd ever seen. And I'm like,
I see this is opposite.
I'm like,
I will block you.
I'm like, okay, this explains why you loved the Beauty and the Beast remake then. But anyway, Bibbs and Whitney, one of the one of the one of their choices for worst films of 2017 was the Beauty and the Beast remake, and that got my attention. Huh, someone else who didn't like that movie, huh?
You dislike the things I dislike. Perhaps other things will correlate.
Yes, and indeed, I've been listening to them ever since because that's largely true. Like so much so that I, a lot of the time now, I can go see a movie before like hearing their opinion of it. I can go see a movie. This has happened a few times. Like Dune is a great example of this. Not like it for because X, Y, and Z, and then a few days later, I listened to Bibbs and Whitney's review and it's largely the same as what my take was.
On our super show, did I ever rant about, or was it over Discord and we were like playing a DVD or something? I can't remember, but I like for 15 minutes I gave you my feelings on Dune 2, Sandworm Boogaloo.
Yeah, I think it was on the super show that we talked about that. I'm into Dune 2. Dune 2 chicks at the same time.
I knew that was coming.
I love that meme.
So do I. What was I even gonna say? Oh, before we move on to the rating of this one, Mulan is raked over the coals.
Yeah,
when it
people
comes to
really didn't
Disney
like that one.
remakes. I don't think anybody. Mulan, story about a woman who, to protect her dad, who will probably die in the war, pretends to be a man, and instead of embracing masculinity, chooses to do things differently, embraces her femininity, and still manages to defend China and open their eyes on some things. It's great. It is legitimately it's a good
premise.
It's a good premise, and I've never heard of like a feminist say that movie's not great, right? The remake, the live action remake, Mulan has magic powers from birth. She is exalted, the chosen one. She's just better at everything and doesn't pretend to be a dude. And the moral of the story is to be loyal to the emperor and fight with honor.
How much money did the People's Republic of China give Disney?
And that's the big thing. You need anybody like watching that's like listen to it, like that is like the People's Republic of China presents Mulan, a Mulan story. Moulin Rouge, Soviet Rouge.
Disney's been doing like I'm not on the Disney like hate train.
You fucking shills, man. I'm sorry, but like you.
I'm not on the Disney.
That was the movie was made for China.
That a lot of people are nowadays, but Disney has been doing some like really stupid things lately.
Agreed.
Disney Plus show Echo. I was really stoked about it. The show's kind of a mixed bag. The stuff that's in there that I like, that's good, I really like. The stuff that's not so great is fucking terrible. One of the things that show does is it literally makes Native Americans, First Nations people, it starts off with the origin of them as a people, and they literally emerge from like an energy vortex in the ground, like an alien like energy vortex in the ground, and then they form into people. And then
the fuck are you talking about? Okay, sorry, go on.
And then in the end, they literally like beat the bad guy at the end by basically using Native women's love, motherly and sisterly and daughterly love, to turn that into a superpower that is embodied by as like glowing like balls of energy from their fists.
Sounds like you have a problem with terrible representation. I I've heard different from other people, but those people were not weren't native, weren't indigenous.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and to be clear, I am not either.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there.
There's a movie called Prey. I have a lot of the whole. I have a problem.
I really liked that movie, but continue.
Oh, so I'm a you can't tell I'm a what they call a light skin, but I'm a quarter Canadian First Nations. Prey. There's good heart in there, but for like every win there is for like the indigenous representation in that movie,
Yeah.
there's something that makes me go, why would she wouldn't do something that dumb? She ties she ties an axe to a string and throws that and then drags the string back as a ranged weapon. And when people say, hey, that's fucking stupid, why don't you use a spear or bow and arrows? She goes, no, this is the way I do it. That's like buying your first car and changing out the tires so that they're square. You know what flies really fast, straight, and is great at hunting rabbits? A fucking bow with straight arrow. Anyways, that's one example. I don't want to get into it because this isn't the shit on like movies. Well, it has been for the last 15 minutes, but shit on movies podcast. But like, I have, there's enough that I don't like over the things that I do like, where I cannot like Prey, including the final message of the movie, which is kind of like, don't listen to your elders and traditions. Do things your own way, get people killed, and then you too can take over the clan. Like, her insubordinates gets tons of her family killed, and then at the end she's the hero. All right, that's enough. What do you so stabbing Galvatron through the chest? Let's get back to that.
Yeah,
stabbing Galvatron through the chest, and then Magna Boss leans in and says, the Lannisters send their regards. And they pull they unpenetrate him. He flies off. He goes into surgery next episode.
Yeah. And
what do you?
And that's the end of that episode. Yeah. I'm going to give this one a sufficient amount of energon.
This was a higher sufficient amount of energon.
Yeah.
They really tried to milk the, who is this? Are they bad? Are they good? Right? Like with Lio Jr. They do that with every new.
Oh, I guess we didn't
character.
Explain that we find out in the.
Oh.
Is it this
I
episode?
I really like Eagle and Elephant, by the way.
Is it this episode or the next one where we find out what Lio Jr.'s origin is?
This next. Okay, so
this
basically
is basically a two-parter.
It's kind of a two-parter. So we're both a little bit confused because we watched them all back and back. So we're just gonna merge our thoughts because I know what Siege is talking about here. When they arrived and scanned animals, it was shown that
so
there's a flashback.
Lio
okay, go ahead.
passes out in a cave, and then
a lion helps him.
A lion helps him, and then something
real lion, by the way.
A real lion. Something happens, and then because of like all the angle slam energy, it causes like the energon.
It took him into a cave with particularly high.
It causes the energon matrix in his chest to split, and that's what creates Lio Convoy. Or that's what
they're particularly rare. He essentially, to use other Beast Wars terminology or other Transformers terminology, he has the matrix of leadership.
Yeah.
Right? All primes do? Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, my chest was hurting when we were like trying to look for the positive energy of the angle slam. And then at some point, Lio Jr. is like, oh yeah, I've got that too, and opens it up, and indeed he's got like the matrix of leadership there.
And indeed, we find out that Lio Jr. was raised by this lion that saved Lio Convoy. And
he
so
runs away and he's like, "You're not my we're not kidding." He runs away when he finds out he's not a real lion.
You're not my real dad. But here's the thing that I found funny. Because at one point, Lio Convoy even mentions, he's like, oh yeah, I was unconscious. Like, I suppose this could have happened. So I'm like, just laughing. I'm like, okay, so you passed out in a cave. This lion fucked you. And
Yeah.
then, behold, here's your son, Lio Jr.
I don't make the rules, man. So this isn't too outside of Transformers lore. It is a little bit, but not too much, because the way new souls, sparks, are created. I don't think they use that term in Beast Wars Second, but the way new souls are created is there's the big ol' the Matrix, where all the sparks return to, unless you're Starscream. And they mix and match, and then they reincarnate so that you could be 1/5 Rhinox.
Well, that was my headcanon.
That was your headcanon, and I feel like that's legit, because till all are one is a big deal in Beast Machines. And indeed, like the philosophy in Beast Machines is do not be cruel to your enemies, because you are literally all extensions of the same being. All life is precious because you are all connected, right? This is a little different.
It's very existentialist.
I love Beast Machines, but it does have its ups and downs. Cue fast moving background forward with Cheetor jumping through the air yelling, anime background. But what happens here is his spark is copied, including the matrix of leadership, sort of copied, and makes another of itself.
Yeah.
For some reason, because he was on the verge of death, like he was, or it had not. Anyways, it makes a copy of him, but this one emerged later on.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last what? Here's the thing: the show doesn't know what to do with him. It says he's raised by this old white lion. This is MVP Lion, by the way. He saved 2 of the Maximals. What was he going to say? But it also says that he was just born. So was he just born, or was he raised by lions?
I like to think that Lio Convoy drank a little too much special oil.
Fucked a lot. Special oil, right?
Special oil. Got blackout
Fucked Mama
drunk.
Lion.
Fucked a lion. And
well, here we are.
There it is.
And he's like, you don't even look like me. And everyone's like, I don't know, man. Like he looks a lot like you. And he's like, well, whatever. Your mom's a slut. Could be anyone's.
Bitch told me she was on the pill.
Right. So dumb. I love that. And the conflict in the next episode, episode 27.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the last one. We're kind of mixing them. Is that we had mentioned it already. Lio Convoy won't let him call him dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mentioned before, but Lio Convoy turns out to kind of be a deadbeat dad in these episodes, and I find it really funny.
It's funny. I'm not angry at him for it, because at the end of this episode there's some reconciliation. But in this one we get to see Starscream Doctor, Air Doctor Starscream with Nurse BB, and that's the funniest shit ever to me, because they're both wearing face masks and the little hair thing and gloves, and they're literally using human surgical tools.
And the MASH theme is playing.
The MASH theme plays in the background, as
The other
they
the other Decepticons are like chilling like behind glass. There's a moonshine still there. They've all got martini glasses.
and I can't remember who, but somebody's like, oh, like what if they purposely fuck it up or whatever? But they don't. They're surgeons. Who would have thought? As they work on Galvatron, and then he passes out, and they're like, they come out covered in blood for some reason, take off their gloves, and they're like, "We've done all we can. The rest is up to him." And I was like, great hospital. That what a great trope. That thank you for that.
Tell Father Mulcahy to grab his Bible and be on the ready.
Now I pictured BB with like a priest collar.
Folks, I'm actually I haven't talked about this too much. I don't think, but I love MASH.
Yeah. And
very progressive show, by the way. Like I've gone back to it in recent years. For its time, it's an extremely progressive show.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the like conservative characters are the villains in the show.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, what happens? So it's revealed that BB and Starscream are going to fuck over Megastorm because Megsy, he's an idiot, and every time Galvatron like gets hurt and disappears for a long time, he like tries to take over and fucks everything up,
which happens a lot in this show.
And so that's it's not quite hanging a lantern on it because it's not a plot hole, but it's drawing it. The characters are aware that this happens a lot, and they're like, this time, you and I are gonna make a move, and we're gonna fuck Megastorm. And they're like, hey, Megastorm, you're related to Galvatron, right? You know what? His body reacted positively to the angle storm, the angle slam energy, the moist angle energy. You know, it'll probably make you more powerful too. Ever thought about that? And now that it's evil, it'll make you even more powerful. Eh? So he's like, yeah. And it's like, oh, but like you're not afraid. If you're afraid, we don't have to do it. You know, if you're a pussy, you don't need to. You don't need to. And he's like, oh, I'm not a pussy. Fuck you. And so he gets in an like a mining like elevator, and they're like, okay, here we go. And after being all like, oh geez, actually, wait, no, I changed my mind. They lower him in slowly via a winch. And they're like, oh geez, what's that? We can't hear you. And he starts screaming like, no, pull me back up. I changed my mind. I don't want to die. And as he's changing his mind, the line snaps. And then Starscream is to BB is like, oh, now we have plausible deniability.
I think
he tried to
Starscream
save him.
Snapped the line.
Oh, did he snap it?
Yeah, I think
it breaks. And he's like, oh man, we tried to save him. Oh gosh, oh geez. Anyways, want to go get lunch? And they fuck off, and Megsy's like, no. And there's actually some character development because as he's melting into the molten hot magma, the evil angle slam, there's some self-reflection there. Like some like you see the light at the end of the tunnel stuff.
Yeah, and his inner voice is like, oh, older brother, Emperor of Destruction. All I wanted to do was prove myself to you.
I just wanted to be strong like you, big bro. And I'm like,
well, it's like, but it's like you've been undercutting this guy the entire show, and now that you're dying, you're like, I just wanted to be big and tough and
good point.
Powerful.
Fuck you. I forgot.
Powerful and sexy like you, older brother.
Powerful and sexy and have bulging robot muscles just like you. And I've seen you in the shower, and I just wanted a big old hog just like you, and it's not fair. I was the runt of the family. All I wanted was a big dick. And he melts and dies. And the narrator's like, and on that day, the evil angle slam energy could
Heard his
hear
pleas.
heard his pleas, and then his dick grew 3 sizes that day. And it implies he's reincarnated. And indeed, he is reincarnated not as Killistorm, not as Megastorm, but as Gigastorm. So I guess I have to call him Gigsy. It just doesn't roll off the tongue like Megsy.
This isn't even my final form. Well, and now I can't call him G2 Megatron anymore.
What? No, he's redeco.
He's a redeco of G1 Triptychon.
Guys, come on.
And
Give him
there's a lot of that in the Japanese Beast Wars line. Like, all of the Decepticons are just redecos of G2 figures.
kind of weak, but yeah.
God Neptune is a redeco of a G1 figure. And now so is Gigastorm. And
Come on, give him an.
I'm like, wow, Takara really cheaped out on their Beast Wars line, huh?
So what ends up happening? His body, his skeletons, as he's reforming, he flows on down by the river. And well, when you know it, that's where Lio Jr. is like pouting. He's having like an angry nap because he runs away and he's like, fine, you're not my real dad.
My dad doesn't love me. I don't even want to do anything. I'm just going to go to sleep.
I'm going to go to sleep right here on this like precarious cliff dangling over this lava. You know, lion things.
And
his uncles come over to like see if he's okay.
I got to be honest.
They're actually cool. Go ahead.
Here, I actually felt bad for Lio Jr.
I felt like, you know what? Even if he's not your dad, like, now's your chance to act like one, man.
Yeah.
Let him call you dad. But his uncles come over. And I think it was you that, you were like, I like to think of him as like their progressive, like accepting gay uncles.
Yeah.
And I see that here. And you know what? I already like these two. And it's really easy for me to hate a lot of Beast Wars second characters because like they even tell Lio Convoy earlier, they're like, hey, give us a minute. And they fly after him. They call him like youngster or something like that, right?
Yeah, like
they actually care about him.
Young lad or something.
They actually care about him. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
Like it's very weird. Yeah. And instead of waking him up, they're like, oh, look at him sleeping.
These Maximals are not altruistic in the same way that the Maximals on the regular Beast Wars cartoon are.
Kind of don't like that. They're not. They're all kind of, they all have egos, or they're lazy, or they're jerks, or they run off ahead. They're all
stupid.
They're all like Cheetor. And it doesn't work when they're all Cheetor.
Scuba and Apache are like the only ones who aren't really idiots.
Scuba and Apache are D's. Yeah.
Bighorn is lonely and horny.
And you know what? I wouldn't even say, yeah, literally. I wouldn't even say the other, even Lio, I wouldn't even say Lio Convoy is like a prime. He's incredibly negligent. It's like he lets everyone else get in trouble. So he shows up and can get like, when everyone's energy is low, he shows up with like dramatic music playing so he can like get the kill steal.
Yeah, he's that manager who's been, he's been doing it. He's been.
Oh, you got those reports ready? Oh yeah, I'll give them to the boss for you. Don't worry.
He's like middle management that's been stuck in the same position for like 20 years. He's like grown complacent. Doesn't actually do any work himself, but like at the very last second when someone does something good, he'll be there to take credit for it.
Yeah, he's walking around with this coffee being like, yeah, Patchy, I'm gonna need those reports by Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and kind of disagree
here. I'm gonna need you to stay behind, and I'm gonna have to metamorph here. Yeah.
I just rewatched Office Space not too long ago. I should rewatch
it.
It's pretty fun. I think it's on Disney Plus.
What ends up happening? Oh, Gigastorm comes out.
Yeah, he's now, what is he, the Duke of Destruction?
the Duke of Destruction, Gigastorm. I don't know. He's like
I'm
angry,
here with my big dick, and I call it the Duke.
and they're like, actually, it's just average. And they close his mouth, and they're like, oh no, it's oh geez, it's so geez, it's so big. Oh geez, well, what are we ever gonna do? And he's like, yeah, that's right. And I'm invincible. And I don't know, they kick his butt or something.
Yeah. How do they?
Oh, they shoot the ground. They just shoot missiles, like endless missiles at the ground, and he falls into the lava.
He falls into the lava, and he's like, "Haha! I am immortal. You can't defeat me. I'll be back."
I'll be back as he falls into the lava. And then there's a handshake with sunset in the background moment between the two, and he's like, "You see, you're not a kid. You followed orders. You know what? It's good to have you on board, soldier." And he Lio Convoy shakes Lio Jr.'s hand, and he's like, "Thanks, Commander."
Welcome aboard, son.
And that redeems the deadbeat dad thing, because I'm like, okay, you wanted to to explain to him that he's not a child, he's not your parent, but he's going to be a member of the Maximals, and I like that ending. But that was 27.
I'm gonna just grade 26 and 27 together as a like high sufficient amount of energon.
Same.
Just because they're not in name, but it is basically a two-parter.
Same. It gets a high sufficient amount of energon. Not just for the sake of time, but we're on 28 now. The title the title kind of gives away what it's about.
The new weapon, Taco Tank.
So
I'm gonna just say like straight away, after the past
ahead.
3 episodes, this one was very boring, I found.
So what happens is Scuba's cousin flies to Gaia. It's so easy to come to and from Gaia. Why are they here? Why don't they get back up? That's not the point. Anyways, he looks just like Scuba, except he's a little more fun, and he's blue instead of red.
Yeah, another character who shows up to Gaia already with a beast form.
Just happened to be a squid. Wouldn't you know it? And he's dropping off an octopus tank.
I do like the exchanges he has with everyone. Like, he's literally a guy delivering a parcel.
Like he's a dude, and he's like, oh man, are you telling me Scuba's not here? I'm not going to be back around for like another year, so someone's going to have to sign for it.
Like, is this what's the address here? This is Third the planet
Rock,
Gaia.
3O, Gaia. You're in the Sol system, right?
Yeah.
You got the wrong place.
Is there a guy named Scuba here? Because I got this parcel for him.
You know what? That's weird. My cousin's name is Scuba. And then Scuba shows up and he's like, hey, cousin, I love you. Now get to your station. Sorry, that's a Bear reference. I'm watching the new season of the Bear.
I've been hearing mixed things about the new season.
I don't like it.
You don't, or you do?
It's still better than most things, but I don't. Not especially.
Yeah, I a website that I read for movie
news. It's still
news
better than most things.
A lot is slashfilm.com, which Whitney Seibold actually writes for. That's why I started reading it. Yeah. But they cover whatever like the new popular thing is. Like they'll usually do like 1 million articles about it. And so a couple of weeks ago, it was all about the new season of The Bear, and I just remember getting the impression that the new season isn't as revered as previous seasons.
And that's not to say that it has nothing. It's just that if the previous season is 10 out of 10, and I would rate it really high. It was fucking up.
I know, I got to check it out. It's on my watch list.
It being like 7 or 8 out of 10, yeah, it's not as good, but like that's better than 90% of the other things you could watch.
Yeah,
like I still like it, but like that season 2.
I'm looking for new shows to watch because just about everything
that
I have been watching is over now, or I've lost interest in it.
If you can stomach that, I couldn't stomach. Maybe you have maybe you'll be less sensitive than me. I couldn't stomach like the first episode or two of season one. And then knowing, when something's like stressful or bad in a show, but there's going to be a cathartic moment,
Yeah.
or you pray that there is. That's what this is. That's what season one is. And I'm like, oh, please,
Well,
please, I need something.
And then there's The Mist, which does not have a cathartic.
What are you talking about? They get away at the end. My uncle turned, he's like, and then they lived. Oh, geez, something happened to the tape. Oh, well, anyways, the army shows up and they all survive. And I was like, oh, cool. No. Who do they fight in the octo tank? Anyway, scuba pilots, it comes apart, it shoots, it's a tank.
It flies.
It
looks
flies
cool
for some reason. It does, yeah. It comes apart and shoots off the top part. Anyways, it's a tank thing, and they beat Gigastorm with it or something.
Yeah, or something.
Anyways, what do you give episode 28? We're not even kidding. There's nothing to really talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to give it not enough energon just because, like I said, it was boring. It couldn't hold my attention. I did think the stuff with Scuba's cousin being
funny.
Literally being like a UPS like delivery guy. I thought that was
right,
funny.
we got a planet Gaia. Am I on the right continent? I'm looking for a scuba Steve. All right, yeah, here you go. Sign for this.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny, but I mean, cool. They get like a tank and it's like really strong, I guess.
And I'm sure we'll never see it again.
Or we'll see it all the time. I don't know. It gets not enough energon for me. But that being said, huge upset. Legitimately that first one and even the two-parter with Lio Convoy, those were like episode 25, 26, and 27. Pretty nice.
Best episodes of the series so far.
The three best episodes of the series were back to back.
Well, that was episode 143 of Too Much Energon. If you want to support the show, as I mentioned earlier, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Starting at the $5 tier, you get access to the Patreon exclusive Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show podcast, the occasional commentary track, which we haven't done one now since October. It's been almost a year, yeah.
We should.
And you get a bunch of other goodies. You can also pick a show for us to review a random episode of on our other podcast that we mentioned earlier, the Lasercomb podcast. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Buy a t-shirt. Link in the description, as always. Join the Discord if you want to interact with us. Also, link in the description. There's many links in the descriptions of these episodes.
Yeah, there are.
Click on all of them.
Every time you watch one of these.
If you're a real fan, you will click on them.
If you're a real one, you click on. Even if you're already part of all those things. Actually, no, you get a pass if you're already a part of those things.
For now.
For now.
We will be back in 2 weeks' time with episode 144 of Too Much Energon, where we're going to be talking about the next series of episodes, which the very next episode after this is literally a clip show, so we can skip that. So I say we do episodes 30 to 33.
Yeah.
On the next podcast. Means we'll get through the show even faster.
There we go. Still doing 4 episodes, but like the clip shows don't, like, you can't rate those.
No.
Those don't count.
So yeah, we'll be talking about episode 30, Gigastorm's Treachery. Episode 31, The End of Starscream. Episode 32, The Lio Convoy Assassination Plot. And episode 33, The Great Anglemoy Freezing Tactic.
Shit.
And apparently that movie that we reviewed like 3 years ago, Lio Convoy in Imminent Danger, takes place between episodes 32 and 33, so we'll actually have some context several years down the road.
Sweet. Now we know.
Now, well, we'll know next week.
Or we will know.
And until then, I have been Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal, your other host.
And until next time, Beast Mode.
Metamorph!
We
We didn't talk about. Hey,
Oh yeah, there's a new
Lio
theme.
Jr. Yeah, there's a new theme in the last episode we watched. And every time Lio Jr. Metamorphs, he's got a magical girl pose.
He does a magical girl pose.
Like, it is quite magical girl pose. Like, hip out, legs spread, and like, that's all.
More queer representation on Beast Wars 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. It's ahead of its time, damn it.
As it should be. Bye-bye.